Hello, Internet. Welcome to episode 8 of That Random Podcast Show. A show where we usually talk a bit about movies, animation, maybe occasionally music, it hasn't come up yet, and occasionally video games, but this episode we're going to be a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Rapid. Nah, not rabid. Sounds a bit like rabid, like where you just contracted a horrible disease we have to put down. Please don't put us down. No, I'd say we're going to be focusing a bit more on video games this time around, because there's a lot to discuss. I'm your host, Tyler Chansey, and with me is Michael Mosley.
Do we really have to talk about this award show? I really don't want to do this. Spoiler alert, people. We're going to talk about this stupid award show that happened earlier this week. Well, last week after this recording, but yeah.
Yes, we have a lot to discuss, Michael. But here's the thing, though, Michael. This is the brilliance of the game industry. It wasn't an award show. It wasn't just an award show. Here's the thing. Usually when people think of an award show, they think of a certain level of prestige, respect, solemnity. Awards being given for proper and beautiful excellence in the field. When it comes to mainstream game award shows, they don't really have that exact same punch because, let's face it, the industry sometimes can't help but market themselves. Even when it comes to something that should be more self-respect.
To be fair, every industry has that award show that's supposed to be prestige, but it's not.
There's a certain level of that. Even certain digital storefronts even have Oscar movie sales.
Yeah, I'm like, the movie industry has the Oscars. The music industry has, I don't know what they have, and video games has stuff like BAFTA and DICE and the GEC awards. So there's that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm personally partial to the DICE Awards held by the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences, but they don't have a fancy award show. The awards just kind of get doled out, and you find out afterhand, which I'm okay with. But yeah, when it comes to the mainstream big show of the industry that's on its third year now, it has to be the Game Awards 2016, hosted by Jeff Keighley, which. Let's be upfront here quickly, though. Jeff Keighley is a good guy. Like, when it came to him, being a journalist back when he, did stuff, in the field, he did some interesting stuff. Mad respect for the guy when he dealt with Spike TV. Like, he was one of the few people, that was very passionate about the medium. And by his own admission, he was trying desperately to make the Game Awards something equivalent to the video games as Oscars, but trying best not to be tied down to certain embarrassing marketing and product placement. Like, people remember back when the Spike TV VGA Awards, which, by the way, I'm kind of glad aren't around anymore because they were very painful to watch, was overabundantly advertised by Doritos, Mountain Dew, because gamers play Call of Duty and eat Doritos, drink Mountain Dew, roar, Darude Sandstorm. It was very cringe. Unabashedly cringe, and him trying to make this award show something a bit more prestigious, I do have respect for. Having said that, though, we're only 3 years in, and we've gone from the first year actually trying to have some level of respect for the industry, with having certain celebrities like Boogie, Total Biscuits, and the founders of Sierra Entertainment showcased, to this year's award show involving a product placement by Schick Hydro, and intermittent commercial breaks that include product placements for the Oculus Rift, AMD's newest video graphics card chips. They even tried marketing a Battlefield 1 World War I tank-themed PC rig with the chips installed. And, of course, footage of Ubisoft and Legendary Pictures' Assassin's Creed movie, starring Michael Fassbender and very cheap-looking CGI special effects, coming to theaters very soon. Get your tickets now. And every single time it got to those certain product placement bits, you could feel something was wrong. Not to mention a lot of trailers and a lot of advertisements for other big games that was coming out. I think I'm not actually arguing with you or anything, Michael. This is sort of a general opinion when it comes to these award shows. You can't make them marketing events. You can't make them as nakedly and blatantly as big of a marketing event as the Game Awards seems to do. We mentioned this before, usually whenever movies have Oscars, the appeal of getting an Oscar is press and coverage enough. Certain snobs alike will enjoy the recognition given by certain films that go to them. With the Game Awards, see how interchangeable they are sometimes? With the Game Awards, it's very painful because sometimes you can tell when certain games have the most marketing because they clearly have an investment in the show. They're usually the ones that win, which is exactly why we're really not going to linger too much on the broad strokes of the show. Like, some of them are kind of painful. Like, Best Family Mobile Game was given to Pokemon Go because it's popular. What else is going to be coming out? Most anticipated game was Zelda Breath of the Wild because it was voted by popular votes, and Zelda is still a big name. And of course, and this is all I need to say. The category for best performance in the game, Uncharted 4: Thief's End was nominated 3 separate times for 3 different roles. And of course, marketed was Uncharted 4 footage, but that's just some of the brief moments that made me just want to slap my head and vomit boiling blood while live tweeting the show and being a snarky person that hasn't known love in his entire life. That last part's not true. But there were 3 big events in the Game Awards show that I do think I want to discuss, if only because there is still some merit to be had, and thankfully things haven't gotten to the point where next year we can see the Game Awards brought to you by Shawarma, by Shawarma Place, Burger King, and Taco Bell, in association with EA's upcoming gritty reboot of Dungeon Keeper, the movie. Please don't do that, by the way. I'm talking, of course, of the first major event, which was the biggest insult that happened at last year's Game Awards show, which was when Jeff Keighley had to present the award for Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain for an award, and due to legal problems brought by contract by publisher Konami, creative director and helm of the series for the past 19 years, give or take, Hideo Kojima was not allowed to get up on stage and accept the award of the game he pumped so much time and effort into on its behalf. So this year, they immediately started the show, and I do mean immediately. They started the show with Jeff Keighley giving this big speech in glowing respect for Hideo Kojima, and awarded him an Industry Icon Award to rousing applause for his work. Not just the Metal Gear series, but also his work on other smaller projects like Zone of the Enders, Policenauts, and Snatcher. And this is one thing I will say the award show has been very good at giving to people. The founders of Sierra Entertainment, their innovation in the adventure game genre, that's well deserved. Kojima, no different. Michael, you've mentioned you're not a big fan of Kojima before. What do you think about him getting a big old trophy for such a title?
I mean, he earned it. He definitely deserved it. I'm not saying like Kojima is like this horrible developer. Like, he definitely he deserved all the respect he gets within the industry. And I have no issues with starting off the show, giving him his due respect, and the respect that Konami apparently no longer has for
video games at all.
Yeah, for any of the developers, for any of their staff members. It's great to see Kojima physically receiving an award for all his hard work and dedication to the industry that obviously he loves doing. He loves being a part of.
He loves video games. It's very clear from all of his work.
Well, I mean, he loves being able to tell a story with them. He loves being able to bring eccentric characters to life through them. Because let's face it, the way Kojima tells a story, him doing movies, you're gonna need a 6-hour movie for the first half anyway. So yeah, video games is a great place for Kojima. He belongs in this industry, and I'm not a fan of his, but I'm glad he's here. I'm glad to see like somebody like Kojima who can step away from somebody like Konami and still
come out swinging.
Yeah, and still have all the respect that he's gotten, and to keep his motivation up to continue doing what he loves. It's great. So I have no problem with it. I thought it was great. I didn't see the speech myself because I didn't watch the show.
I wound up sitting through it, and mostly because it was there was also news features coming in because the show was going on, press releases are coming in. Gotta get those posts published. Gotta get that traffic going for my work at thegamefanatics.com. Shout outs. But so it was a bit of work in addition to also watching it like in a different tab. But I will admit, though, I did enjoy the passion that Keighley had. Like, for all the problems I do think the Game Awards show does have with its marketing and its odd categorization. It was very sincere what I saw with Keighley and with Kojima. In fact, one of the biggest things that did hit me was actually when he got the award show and Kojima spoke and he said, "I thought I lost everything." And that hit me a lot more because of the coverage I gathered with Kojima. Because, seriously, think about this, Michael. He worked 4 or 5 years on Metal Gear Solid 5, the last 6 months of which he was locked in an office on a different floor away from his studio, and he couldn't even go and talk to his own studio when it came to the final crucial moments of his own video game. He was fired from that publisher, basically lost the rights to a franchise he spent so many years on. His one proposed other project that wasn't Metal Gear, Silent Hills, was basically scorched and destroyed. Canceled, PT removed from the PlayStation Store. His very name stricken from all marketing material for his last project. And even Kojima Productions under Konami was rebranded. His very name was basically chiseled off of that company, and he was put under what I can only assume to be allegedly grand psychological torture by this publisher that, as you mentioned before, seems to be getting a very dangerous track record of having no respect whatsoever for its developers, because game development is a very arduous, very demanding field. It isn't just coding. There's a lot more you need to know amongst hundreds of people, amongst millions of dollars of development. This stuff is not easy to make. And given the budget that was done with Metal Gear Solid 5, the fact that it came out at all was amazing. But then basically getting fired, losing everything, and basically being told you are crap and worthless, just another cog in the wheel, to having so much of the industry and of the community love what you do and help bring you back out of what could have only been described as a great amount of depression. It was very powerful to see him up on that stage and give that speech and say, "Thank you. I love you all." He actually said that. And that was one of the few moments where I do think the Game Awards does have a place. And this is where it kind of ruined it a bit, because immediately afterwards he revealed a second trailer for Death Stranding, his next upcoming project, which apparently will include the talents of Norman Reedus, and revealed in this new trailer, well-known monster movie horror director Guillermo del Toro and well-recognized Danish actor Mads Mikkelsen as major characters. Did you see the trailer, by the way, Michael?
Yeah, I saw the trailer, and yep, it's Kojima. It definitely screams out Kojima.
It's definitely distinctly Kojima. Like, do we really know what's going on? Like, could we really determine what the heck is really going on in these trailers?
Well, okay, from what I can tell, and yeah, I'm gonna do one of those stupid little nitpicky things.
No, go ahead.
It really seems interesting to me because it seems like men are now incubating probably genetically enhanced babies, from what we can tell from the men who have umbilical cords.
Oh yeah, the cord attached to Norman Reedus in the first trailer.
Yeah, like we didn't know what that was all about, but in this new one, it really does seem like a person who's in control is able to control certain people, maybe genetically enhanced people with these umbilical cords. Because later on, we see people who attach to a tank, and we see, or we can only assume to be a main villain, attached to multiple soldiers.
Yeah.
And we also see Del Toro's character hook his cord up to a little,
some sort of like
tank. Yeah, a little fetus tank. And with a little baby inside. Which, after watching that trailer, for some reason, I was like, oh man, I can no longer think Norman Reedus. Now it's Norman Fetus. Because I think maybe that might be the Norman Reedus baby. For some reason, that's the first thing that popped in my head. Del Toro is incubating the Norman Reedus baby that we saw in the first trailer. But
oh yeah.
But yeah, like from what I've can tell so far, all we know is that those umbilical cords and the men who use them
seem to have some sort of connection to the creature.
They're important.
Yeah,
right? They're not hooked up to anything. They hook up to others, and how that works out, You just have to wait and see. But it really seems like the one is in control has the ability to hook themselves up to others.
Yeah, like, Kojima mentioned this before when it came to people talking about Death Stranding. He wanted to kind of do a story about the concept of death and connections and the like, and I think, you know what, this is probably what they're going with, because one thing that stuck out in the trailer for me is that those soldiers we saw, those are skeletons. Like, you don't see it at first, like, you think they're masks, but then you look at their hands when they're holding the rifles, and that's bone. That is nuts. And this is the exact same trailer where we had, like, an old World War II tank covered in corpses and organs trekking around, with some sort of, like, oil coming out of the walls. Like, this is a very intense trailer. Like, it doesn't make any logical sense, but it comes off as very almost post-apocalyptic. It has a very dour, depression level, like, tone to it. And that's what really stuck out to me. Like, Kojima, we mentioned this before, he loves games, but he also has a very big soft spot for film. And it definitely shows in the composition and cinematography of these cutscenes, of these trailers we've seen so far. Because they do a good job selling this tone of death and abandonment and camaraderie in some respects. Like when Norman Reedus is holding that baby in the first trailer and it vanishes away and you see that initial, oh my gosh, what happened? Look on his face. And it's very curious, you know, because this keeps raising more questions. Like you mentioned at the very end of the trailer, we have Mads Mikkelsen show up and he's like commanding these skeleton troops, and we don't know what's going on there. There's a rainbow in the background, we don't know what's going on there. We have these soldiers and these troops and these tanks, and Guillermo del Toro is hiding from him, and there appears to be some sort of USA badge on his coat. We don't know what's going on. There's a lot to pick apart, and I already know there's at least one dedicated Reddit subforum to trying to hash it out. But if I may do a bit of a plug for my thoughts, though, Michael, because hopefully, by the time this episode goes out, I actually wrote a piece about the trailer. It feels almost like Kojima is letting some of his personal demons out from his time with Konami. His time dealing with the Metal Gear franchise and kind of being pigeonholed, if you will. And now with the creative freedom, he kind of wants to let loose some of that in hopefully a creative and interesting venue. And this may just be crazy speculation, but if you actually look at the trailers, Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro are in both trailers. Before things went to hell, Kojima wanted to work with Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro. That was the initial pitch they had when they wanted to work on Silent Hills. Silent Hills fell apart. PT was destroyed, removed from digital storefronts. And yet, when we see the two trailers, both those characters pop up, and they're clearly seen in sympathetic human lights. Like, Reedus is the only human character we see in the first trailer. Guillermo del Toro is hiding from the Skeleton Warriors and the Skeleton Soldiers in the second trailer. And they're both wearing the first part of a pair of handcuffs, like they've escaped from something. Kind of on the nose, if you ask me. Like, is the imagery kind of... I'm just saying. Kojima...
I mean... Hey man, you look into it however you want. Like,
I'm just saying,
the way I piece it together is way more simple than what you're doing. But you know, that's the thing about Kojima. Like, you can think
it can be multiple things. It can be multiple things. He doesn't throw stuff willy nilly. He has a plan for everything, even if it's metaphorical or even if it's literal. That's what we love. That's what I love about his stuff. It can be seen from a literal perspective, but it can also be seen from an allegorical or metaphorical perspective. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's Kojima, so like you can have like a 30-second cutscene. You could find like 10 different meanings for it, because that's just the way Kojima is, and like I'm sure that's why a lot of people like really enjoy his work. But yeah, I mean, like it's fun to pick these things apart.
Oh yeah.
All right, so there was something else you wanted to bring up about the award show, other than the Kojima thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said before, the whole award show I more or less kind of phased out of, because it was back and forth between typing and, you know, double checking, you know, press emails. That's what you do. But when it came to there were two other moments that did pop out that actually did get my attention. And it was actually the award for Games for Impact, which, by the way, I think is a dumb name for categorization. It's basically an award for what I like to call a narrative innovation or narrative trailblazing in games. Because this is something that people kind of don't really think about, though. When it comes to major AAA games or major productions people know about that are in store shelves, they're kind of consistent. But the number of games that come out that are worth talking about, but don't even get like a blip on the radar, like they don't even show up on Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, they keep rising every single year, and they keep exploring different ideas and different concepts. And this was basically a category dedicated to those. The games that aren't necessarily good, quote-unquote, in a conventional sense, but try something different and try to push things forward. And it actually almost made me forget that that the categories were listed by MatPat of the Game Theorists. Disclaimer quickly, I have respect for MatPat. If you're listening to this, I don't know why you're listening to it. Shouldn't you be going off doing some stupid reality show or something? Sorry. But I have a bit of a complicated thing when it comes to his work. Like, I like the concept way he's going up, but I think his stuff is kind of waning thin. But he was there, and he gave up these categories, and a lot of them were actually kind of cool. Rob, like Orwell, like actually like some sort of sci-fi game where you actually kind of play on Orwellian Big Brother surveillance state dystopia. That was kind of neat. Revolution 70, I think, which is basically a playing out of riots that happened, race riots, I think. But the ultimate winner of the award show was for That Dragon Cancer. And
right, well, I never played the game. I didn't see the speech. I saw the award. I saw that he got the award, but I didn't see the speech. So this is all yours. So go wild with it.
Yes, sorry, Michael. Like, I know you saw... You know what? You said you saw some of the award show and you had to stop. What did you see of the award show?
I didn't watch the award show at all. Like, I just saw the award show was given out using the award show's Twitter page. Like, that was my big exposure because after last year, I really don't care anymore.
If you know what it makes you feel any better, I was actually not paying attention when they did this really very painful Schick Hydro ad where they brought out Ed Boon of all people to shill Schick Hydro.
We'll get to that in a second.
But
you wanted to talk about
That Dragon Cancer. Like, I didn't play That Dragon Cancer either, but I actually followed a bit of a controversy, a bit of a kerfuffle that happened with the studio. Also, I couldn't play it because it came out on PC, and at the time didn't have the hardware to run it. That changed, thankfully. But That Dragon Cancer was basically a first-person. It was an interactive drama, a first-person perspective interactive drama, like Gone Home, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, Virginia, etc. And it was about somebody coming to terms and dealing with a loved one dying of incurable cancer, and dealing with the stress and the truly emotionally devastating toll that takes. And it's partially autobiographical because the director of the studio lost his son to cancer, and he took that creativity and put it into this experience. And it showed, because obviously it won. But I distinctly remember when the game launched, there were a bunch of studios and people saying, why the hell are you putting this in a game form? Games are supposed to be fun, games are supposed to be engaging, games are supposed to be intense, why the heck are you putting this depressing shit on us? And he stood his ground. The studio stood their ground. And I'm really glad for that. Because I think I'm not saying anything controversial when I say that games can be an escape and can be exciting, and I'm glad we still have games like that. But interactive experiences can be a lot more powerful than something more passive like film or literature if you do it right. You get to live that experience and empathize a lot more with how it can happen. It's actually why Firewatch is one of my favorite games of the year, because of how they handled their subject matter in a mature manner. And That Dragon Cancer did something similar on an emotional level. And I do mean legitimate emotional, not Hollywood envy emotional. And I don't remember the exact speech in its entirety, but the guy clearly was tearing up when it came to this award show. Once again, one of the legitimate moments of genuine humanity and humility that came with this award show. And it was very good to see that happen. Very amazing that he got recognized for that. And because of that, I'm absolutely glad that it won, because it's a step in the right direction. The games can be more than just competitive esports, which they had a category for. It can be more than just pushing visual fidelity and visual, explosions and technical limitations, which has its place as well. But they can also be very powerful from a narrative perspective. And like I said, it was something that I was really glad for, especially considering everything else that happened. But do you have any commentary on this, Michael? Because this is kind of heavy.
I mean, no, like I said, I never played the game. I know of it, of course. I know of the game, but I didn't watch the speech. I didn't play the game, so honestly, I can't actually contribute to this discussion. At least not a whole lot.
I was talking specifically about the statements I made. Like, am I swinging wild? Am I off crazy street or something? Come on.
No, I'm saying, man, like I said, this is all yours. Like, nobody can tell you you're wrong or that you're going too far with it. Like, you're my
co-host. Your job is supposed to be dissenting his opinion.
You're showing respect for something that you honestly felt like the game industry should do more of. So really, there's nothing wrong with that.
And I'm waiting to see if you agree or otherwise. It's called dialogue. This is our 8th show, man.
Hey, and like I said, man, I got nothing to contribute to this because I never played the game and whatnot. Me, I like playing games for fun. Yes, I do like a good story. I'm one of those people who are more into fun games. But, if you can do fun games and story, that'll be great. Unlike The Last of Us, which had a great story, but subpar gameplay.
Oh, dear me. We're going to get to that a bit later.
Maybe.
But yeah, this is... Now, here's a criticism I can say, though, about the Game Awards show. Amongst many other ones we've brought up, it's problem of categorization. Like I said before, Games for Impact was its own category. Best Narrative was its own category. Except, how do you quantify or judge narrative in terms of a video game? Do you do it in terms of narrative complexity? Do you do it in terms of narrative topics? Or do you do it in terms of presentation, which is very different from narrative? But yet, for some reason, they always seem to categorize in terms of whatever game came out this year that has a narrative bent.
I think it's really more for a game that focuses on the story and on the characters.
So why the heck was Uncharted 4 nominated that?
Because Uncharted 4 had a great story. What are you talking about?
Uncharted 4... Okay, you know what? A bit of an unpopular opinion. I've actually always been very lukewarm when it comes to the Uncharted games. They are great action. They have great set pieces. They visually assault your eyes and don't let up, and I kind of like that about it. But its narratives always feel inoffensive to me. They always have that general broad arch storyline about the reluctant hero that gets in over his head and he has to figure things out. And then they have some passing commentary on something kind of life-affirming, but he doesn't really change it all. Like, narrative involves change in arcs. They don't really change it all. Having said that, though, from what I played of Uncharted 4, it looks like they were going for something a bit more than that.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you. What in the world are you going on about? You were just talking about how great that Dragon Cancer was for its ability to tell a heartfelt story that came from a man's heart, came from the deepest part of his soul, which I understand that. But you really trying to tell me that you couldn't see the narrative drive of the Uncharted series?
The narrative drive of the Uncharted series is basically, let's be like Hollywood and try to hide it.
Well, yeah, that's what made it fun. It was supposed to be this oldish school kind of Indiana Jones action movie-esque kind of thing.
Yes, I gather this.
And that's just to set things up.
No, here's the thing, though. Indiana Jones is art to the storytelling, but you have a good time because you have good characters and you kind of whatever. But actually, you know what? Now I'm thinking a bit more about whenever I think of Uncharted, I think of Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom levels of quality of storytelling. It keeps things going. You're having a good time, but otherwise, it's just kind of boop. It doesn't really hit me. Like, I don't care about Nathan Drake. I don't care about Elena. I barely care about Victor Sullivan. And
You know what? You know what your problem is? You
and
don't like
here's
you don't like fun characters. All those
Michael,
characters are
Michael,
fun. No, no,
Michael.
no, 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 no. I give you your chance. No, the reason that Uncharted does so well this narrative is because it has interesting characters who are full of charm and wit. And yes, their one-liners are pretty funny sometimes. Sometimes, like some of them aren't that great. But
I mean the one-liners where he snaps a guy's neck.
no, that's gameplay. That's not narrative. The thing
And
is,
we have ourselves a problem right here now.
and what's that? Oh, no, you're thinking that Uncharted won narrative because fun action gaming is popular.
Yeah, Uncharted 1's plot was terrible. We're looking for El Dorado. Oh, turns out El Dorado was a statue. Oh no, the statue was cursed. Let's bury it. The end.
But we're talking about Uncharted 4 winning narrative.
Which is
Uncharted
why
1 didn't win the narrative.
which is why I'm fast forwarding, because I said I was lukewarm against the series as a whole. But now, but here's the only reason why Uncharted 4 even remotely has gotten as much praise as it did. Because they finally, after 3 freaking games, gave Nathan Drake a backstory and retconned some elements of Uncharted 3 to make him more sympathetic.
Whoa, they've always been giving Drake a bit of a backstory.
No. They do not give him backstories. They give him a series of noodle stories, a series of cool ideas that happened in his past that give him the illusion of texture and variety. That is not backstory. That is nothing human about it. Like, you know what? I brought up noodle story. It's a narrative technique that happens. You casually mention something that happened that went down in the past that sounds kind of cool, but you never elaborate on it. In order to give this illusion of...
Right, but if you know everything of anybody, they stop becoming interesting. You stay interested in Drake because you want to know more about his adventures and what he's been through and how he went through them. And that's why with Uncharted 3, and you see his younger days, and Uncharted 4, even younger days, you're already invested because you want to know how he got into a lifestyle and how all these things even came about.
No. For me, it was I didn't care at all until they gave him history and they gave him a bit more going with him. Yeah, it was very baseline Dickensian orphan stuff. Like, the villain even calls it very Dickensian. Even if you call out your own narrative shortfalls, it still doesn't mask the things. But this is something else as well I do have a bit of a problem with. Like, the Uncharted series has always been kind of at ends with its narrative. Like I said, it wants to have its big old popcorn ball and eat it too. Like, it wants to be this big action game with these explosions and these set pieces and these, whoa, look at all this cool stuff, and oh my gosh, I'm holding on by a fan. And that's fine, but it feels like it's always kind of fighting back and forth trying to make the characters likable. Like, the only reason why I even remotely like Nathan Drake at all is because the villains they put him up against are irredeemable baby eaters. And winner by default doesn't necessarily make him a winner. Now, this is something else as well that I do find is a problem. Like, narrative in Uncharted 4, themes of brotherhood and family and unity and all that stuff, fine. Whatever. But for me, that's pablum. That's something I would hear on a Hallmark Channel movie. But it's not, but it doesn't have a female lead preaching about the horrors of men.
Okay, see, that's your problem. You couldn't relate to Nate.
I don't have to relate to Nathan Drake at all. He's a Hollywood pretty boy that's good with guns and swings around and also has an archaeologist book and an encyclopedic knowledge of everything the plot demands. He is a freaking... he's a freaking Gary Stu that forwards the plot. He's not meant to be likable.
Okay, that's a lie. See, we're
really taking away this guy.
No, it's just I really enjoyed Nathan because he always seemed like a fun character who's a bit insecure about himself, and now we know why, and find out his little brother, he all these abandonment issues, lost his mom, don't know anything about his dad, his brother went missing, thought dead.
Like I said, that stuff was good. That stuff was good. No, that was good. That was actually fine.
Yeah. But in the past series, the only thing that we didn't know was that Sylvan was like a father figure to Nate. And we don't know why, and we see these two get along so well, and they're so charming.
They stretch it over an entire 15-hour experience. Great storytelling, great information density right there, Naughty Dog. Stretching that over 15 hours of adventure.
The thing is, it's fun. That's the thing. It's fun. The narrative is just fine the way it is because it knows what it is.
And that's my problem. That's my problem, though.
And number four took it to the point to where, okay, it's the last game. Drive it all home. Great graphics, great sound effects, great gameplay, and of course they stepped up with the narrative and they actually made a full-blown story. I
But
mean,
you see my point,
I get
though.
what you're saying, but Uncharted 4
And I'm
winning
here to
narrative.
and I'm here to re-specify this. Uncharted has always been a graphical and gameplay showcase for set pieces. Its narrative has always come off as tertiary at best. Even by Naughty Dog's own admission with Uncharted 3, they mention themselves. They think of the set pieces and the whoa moments first, and then build the narrative around that.
Yeah, they've been doing that
They
since
know
Uncharted 1.
they
They've always
know
done
that's
that.
the appeal. They know that's the
Yeah,
appeal. But the
yeah.
problem. So why the heck? No, seriously, this is what I'm trying to get at. Narrative should be well thought out and well paced, and have proper peaks and valleys and thought out. In addition, in an interactive setting, and done in such a way from start to finish with care. Uncharted is good as an action series, and it did get nominated in the action category, which I'm fine with. But putting in a narrative is weird. It's like putting a Hollywood blockbuster turn your brain off movie next to more telling or interesting
Okay,
stuff.
Uncharted 4 is not Call of Duty. You know,
I did say that.
No. You said a big blockbuster Hollywood turn your brain off. That's Call of Duty. Uncharted 4,
I didn't say that. No, here's the thing, though.
You just said
No,
that.
Uncharted is Hollywood. Call of Duty is Michael Bay. Call of Duty is Michael Bay. Call of Duty is your brain rots, but you don't care. There's a bit of a difference.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. What should have won narrative?
That is a good question.
Because when you really think about it, everything that you want for a story standpoint, what game actually delivers that?
Okay, this is one thing I will say, because my opinion is definitely writing here. It's a podcast show. Our opinions are law in these parts. But I mentioned before, I really thought Firewatch actually had a bit more to say narratively. Yeah, I know there's a stigma against interactive dramas in the industry, but, well, the community, really. But I thought that was actually a much more well-paced experience that actually dealt with more complex matters, and its entire through line and its entire theme was about dealing with loss and grief, and the fact that even if you go on this big adventure and in order to find yourself, your problems don't get fixed overnight. You still have to deal with it when everything ends. Like, people hated the ending of Firewatch because it didn't really have some big cathartic payoff or whatever, and it just kind of ended with things kind of leaving. And I thought that was really ballsy by the studio, and I thought that was a very well done thing. You know, it almost reminded me of an ambiguous ending left interpretation that was done by another big series, a big game that was done by Naughty Dog recently that we'll get to later. Hint, 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 hint. And having said that, though, this year was mostly about action-oriented good stuff. Like, the big nominees was Doom 2016, Titanfall 2, Uncharted 4, like, and when you have big names like that, there's nothing wrong with that. But this goes back once again to what I said before when it came to marketing. When it came to things being more of a marketing event. After a while, you can sort of tell that those fingers in the pie start influencing things a bit more. And you may be defending Uncharted 4, and I'm very much aware there's a lot of fans that are getting ready to cut me to pieces for the stuff I've been saying. You're free to do so in the comments section. We're not going to have a comments section, are we?
I mean, nobody really uses them, so it doesn't. Nobody uses it, so yeah, I don't think you have anything to worry about.
And to that I say, bring it. All 0 of you, come at me. But there is an instance that did happen that I think is actually a giant middle finger to things, which was best performance category. Best performance, not best mocap performance, not best technical performance of the game's engine. That would actually been kind of fun.
Yeah, that's called a technical award, but it makes sense why it's called performance award. But at the same time, it was also the worst category. Well, probably the second worst category.
Yeah, it was a pretty big category. It was a very big category because, once again, kind of go back to Hollywood movies for a second. When it comes to acting, you have best leading, you have best supporting.
Wait a minute, actually, hold on. Didn't the Game Show Awards also have that before?
As far as I could tell, no.
But didn't it have like best leading male, best leading female?
Nope, it was just best performance.
Wait, for the past 2 years?
I believe so. Like,
I'm thinking maybe the VGAs was the only one who did that. Because I could have sworn the first year they had best leading male, best leading female. But yeah, I guess that was just a VGA thing.
it was really painful because here were the nominees for Best Performance. Uncharted 4 was nominated 3 different times for 3 different performances. In a category of in an award show that had maybe five nominees, three for performance for Uncharted 4. Troy Baker, Nolan North, and the actress who played Elena Fisher. I'm sorry,
I think her name is Emily.
Emily something.
So
yeah,
professional, huh?
Yeah, Emily something. And the other 2 categories were for the male and female leads in Firewatch. So you basically have 2 nominees, except one is nominated 3 times, the other was nominated twice. That was a very poorly thought out.
Mafia 3. They opened up an extra category because they're like, oh, we need something else. Yeah.
We're tied. So let's. Here's the thing, though. Uncharted 4 was going to win, though, regardless. It was just a matter of who to give it to. And I find, and that was a big problem because it kind of shows, problems that are going on. It felt very weird, especially dealing with how the SAG-AFTRA strike has been going down. Voice actors bringing up, their grievances when it comes to game development standards, which is actually why it was surprising whenever Nolan North, he won, by the way, because Nolan North, he gets around.
Nolan North and Troy Baker are the only ones who work in the video game industry. Let's just say that. There's nobody else in the industry. Anytime there's a voice acting award, Nolan North or Troy Baker's going to win it. So I don't know why it's even a surprise to people.
No. Here's the thing, though. They're the biggest names, and yet I've seen equally amazing performances that have come out of other people, but they don't get their recognition. Like Melissa Hutchinson for Clementine and Telltale's Walking Dead. I thought she got robbed last year by freaking Matt Stone and Trey Parker of South Park. My God. Moving on. But Nolan North won, and he actually, if I recall properly, he's actually standing with the voice actor strike. But during his speech, he basically said the equivalent of, "My performance is not the only thing that matters." He basically kind of said he may be part of it, but he's still kind of also reaching an olive branch to what everything else goes to in game development. And it actually was pretty controversial. A lot of people started talking. A lot of people started saying, okay, you're still for better performances, but and better, standards, but at the same time, you know what's going on. It was a surprisingly out of left field comment during his acceptance speech. Like, you've been covering what's going on more so than I have. Any commentary you can dive a little?
Yeah, okay, so SAG-AFTRA, of course, is threatening, like, a few developers, publishers, with their strike. So far, they're taking a small break. Where they're saying that this strike can last for months. They haven't given up yet, and they're running out of time. That the packet that it was so controversial the first time, the one that that the game companies are trying to push forward, is about to hit its deadline. So Nolan North saying this as that deadline is coming probably isn't making SAG-AFTRA very happy, or anybody who's part of it. So yeah, his speech, I didn't hear it. I didn't see his speech yet. I skipped over it again because I didn't watch the show. I'm sure it's online. I just haven't looked for it.
Yeah, like I said though, it came off as surprisingly passive aggressively incendiary to what's going on.
Well, it's because people are also trying to bring up the conditions for developers and their mental and physical health, but SAG-AFTRA only covers voice actors. So they're
trying to focus on their field. Like,
yeah, because SAG-AFTRA, that's who they cover. People. I know.
I understand that, and we did talk about this before about how if this happens, it's going to open a whole other avenue of other problems of quality of conditions for other fields.
Well, that's what some people are hoping for, but really we're not seeing any changes. Like the way Ubisoft treats their staff members. Yeah, that's not changing anytime soon.
All right, fair enough. Like I said before, look, guys, we're basically doing a very brief sort of overview of the Game Awards show because we've kind of made it perfectly clear it's kind of embarrassing to us because when it comes to other places we know of that have a bit more respect for themselves, so to speak.
It's embarrassing for you. Me, I've cut my losses. It's like after last year, it's like, yeah.
Embarrassing for me. I gotta follow that stuff, man. I know what the heck you're doing. I'm writing.
I took a break from that. That's on you.
Well, I can't take a break from it now, can I? Do you take a break from making videos every now and then?
No.
Please don't bother. Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, but the point is, it's important to have that, but also it's just look, people. The reason Keeley has so many advertisements in these things because it is very expensive.
It's an expensive show.
Yeah, you can't rent a stage like that one night and not pay buku bucks. So yeah, you're gonna take whatever you can. Shake Hydro, tell everybody to shave those neck beards. All right, man, hand over the dough.
Yes, I understand that. I understand that.
Ubisoft wants people to remember Assassin's Creed's come out for the umpteenth time. Pay up. You want AMD to remind people that Nvidia's not the only one with the graphics card? Pay up. At least it stayed somewhat. At least it stayed somewhat relevant.
Yeah, AMD made sense, but Schick Hydro, they didn't just bring up razors. They had like a guy in like this robot suit with a Schick Hydro razor for a head, and I'm like, what is this? I mean, it's pretty silly, and I kind of see what I saw what they were going for. It's cute. It's cute. Like I'm not mad at that completely. It's just amazingly silly. But I will say it was very off-putting to just keep cutting back and forth between categories, and they kept showing footage of the Assassin's Creed movie, and I kept thinking this looks worse and worse the more and more I see it.
The Assassin's Creed movie, it looks decent. I'd say that exclusive clip that they showed off was kind of cool. Because the only thing that made me happy about it is when I noticed that his finger was missing, and I was like, "Oh, that is such a cool detail to have in there that I didn't notice before." But yeah, that's about it. Everything else was just bland.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot else to speak of. But like I said, here's the other problem with those. Well, the award show was collecting almost 3 hours long, and yet they basically rapid fire gave out awards in between things. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, this game won. Actually, you know what's so painful though? You want to win one best RPG to them? The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine. An expansion pack to The Witcher 3 won the category for best RPG this year.
If anything, this award show showed us that this year wasn't as great as we thought it was.
Yeah. Now that I'm kind of thinking more and more about it.
I mean, my goodness, man. There's so few racing games that come out. They had a Smash Racing
and sports
with the sports genre.
No, they've always done that though.
Wasn't there ever racing by itself or extreme sport?
No, they didn't. It was always racing or sports sim, and I remember a lot of people getting salty last year because Mario Kart 8 won and beat out the more realistic sports sims. See, this is the problem. This is the problem with categorization. They don't really have anything more in depth or at least more varied when it comes to this industry, and it leads to problems where Mario Kart 8 could come out alongside Forza, the most recent Forza, and due to Mario Kart 8 being more popular, more well recognized for being a totally separate subgenre of racing, it wins the entire category. It's an odd thing. Like we don't really have any better ideas. I mean, give us some coffee in a couple of days, we may come up with better categories, but in terms of major, widely seen and recognized, I keep prefacing with this. The Game Awards show is, I guess, okay for what it's trying to be. Like, as you said before, there's some realities to it, marketing and certain publishers possibly getting preferential treatment. I don't mean that in some weird conspiracy way. I mean, popular vote does sway these things, and trends are a thing in this industry. But if you really want to see an industry that does its best to properly, or with more dignity, give awards to games that more deserve it, we brought up the BAFTAs, which I believe is Europe's award show for interactive media. Am I correct?
For BAFTA?
Yeah, I think, is it BAFTA?
Well, you mentioned DICE earlier, so let's go with DICE for now.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of general big ones, there are the DICE Awards held by the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. Those are the big guys. Those are probably the closest thing we have to the Academy Awards, to the Oscars in the game industry. If you really want to find an award show that has that certain level of clout, I say listen to who wins the DICE Awards when they announce them later on. But having said that, though, the Game Awards basically mean the equivalent of, I don't know, the Golden Globes.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, like you mentioned, like for you, the gold standard is Dice Awards. For me, yeah, it is BAFTA, but it's also GDC because
the Game Developers Conference.
Yeah, because that's developers coming together and recognizing each other in their own. So,
Yeah.
For me, I'll always see like BAFTA and GDC as like the actual awards that matters, and everything else just seems kind of like the MTV Awards.
Ooh,
I know that. Yeah, I know that sounds horrible, but yeah, best movie of the year at the MTV Awards goes to nobody cares because it's just some action movie.
Michael Bay's Much Ado About Nothing. What?
Yeah. So really, I guess that's why like the video game awards this year didn't really catch on with me. In fact, I forgot it was happening. Despite seeing advertisements for it, I forgot, and so I did late tweets about it. But yeah, I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad
I was tweeting live.
Oh, I'm glad I missed it because I was just able to go through their Twitter, looked at all the awards, and be like, okay, yep, I'm good. I don't have to worry about any of that cringe nonsense you guys had. Even though they did have Run the Jewels perform there, which I like Run the Jewels.
Run the Jewels performance was pretty ballin', I'm not gonna lie.
But man, the sound on that thing was awful.
Yeah,
so I was like, man, this sounds bad. So I didn't watch the whole performance. I stopped like 2 minutes in, and I was like, yeah, the sound is awful. I can't watch this.
Yeah, but yeah, as I said, as a whole, like kind of tuned out for the most of it, except for those key moments we talked about: Death Stranding, Kojima's acceptance speech, that Dragon Cancer winning, and the really baffling best performance categorization, Nolan North winning. Other than that, though, it was basically white noise. So let's actually, Michael, we have been a busy bunch in the game industry because the Game Awards happened, I think, a few days ago. But today was day one of Sony's PlayStation Experience Expo, the PSX. And it was another big marketing event where they revealed basically their plans going for the last little month, basically the end of 2016, going into 2017 and early 2018. Now, you did catch this. I tuned in about halfway through because I was working on something and I missed a couple of things. So, how about you take it over from here?
Man, this year's PS experience is the definitive thing that you would show to your friends of why they should choose PlayStation 4 over Xbox One. Yes,
Whoa.
I have. It is. Yeah, I have an Xbox One and a PS4. My Xbox One gets played more. But it seems like after December, my PlayStation 4 is going to get a workout.
A lot more love.
Oh, yeah. It's going to get way more love. You know, they showed off some pretty big games, like both are previously announced and unannounced. Like we're now getting Marvel vs. Capcom 3,
Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 getting a PS4 port, whatever.
Yeah,
but
which that I don't care about. But what I do care about is Infinite is coming out. That looks kind of cool. But it's just a pre-render. But
I saw that trailer as well. I saw a bit of that as well. I saw the trailer and the first thing I recognized was, holy crap, that's Mega Man X. And he appears to actually be playable, and they brought in Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel from Marvel Comics, as playable. I'm like, yes! You've hit all my nerd buttons. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun year for PlayStation. Like, that new Last of Us, we gotta get it over with now, because we're going to talk about it. Let's get it over with.
Okay, you know what? Quick rapid fire of us I think brought up PSX. More footage of Horizon Zero Dawn by Guerrilla Games. Looks nice. Can't wait for it to come out.
Crash Bandicoot. I mean, they've shown nothing new, but it looked cool.
Crash Bandicoot's HD trilogy, a full-blown remake. It isn't just an up-res remaster.
Yeah,
Bandicoot
they
fans?
actually did something with it.
Bandicoot fans? Yeah, okay. Parappa the Rapper HD coming to PS1.
Yeah.
Parappa the Rapper fans? Yeah, a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Patapon coming back out again. Loco Roco.
Yeah, Loco Roco. That's what I'm excited for. I know it's weird, but Loco Roco was my PSP game. Oh, I love that. I love that game.
Okay, fair enough. A bunch of announcements of other stuff, including that remake of Yakuza 1 coming out for PS4. I'm excited. That's cool.
That is how you do a remaster. Man.
Okay, that looked great. They showed, Yakuza 6 is coming stateside. Yay, that's cool.
2018.
Yeah, Kiwami, Yakuza 1 Kiwami, I guess they're calling it, coming
Yeah,
out.
that comes out next year.
They showed a trailer for Team Ninja's Neo, their samurai Japanese folklore Souls-like RPG. That looks cool.
Yeah, still doesn't look interesting to me, but neither does that Ni no Kuni 2. That doesn't look very interesting either.
If they packaged that like a PS4 port of the original Ni no Kuni, I would eat that up just because I love Studio Ghibli's work.
See, the thing is, when I saw that game, the only thing I thought was, man, I want another Blue Dragon.
Okay, that's fine.
Gravity Rush 2, they announced...
Okay, that was cool.
They announced their first DLC, which is going to be free in March, that we get a story for Raven, and she's playable. Now, that got me excited.
I did like that. I mean, this actually probably didn't have the first Gravity Rush. First of all, I actually played it on the Vita. I didn't get the HD remake. I was one of those idiots that bought the Vita and was sad whenever they didn't support it as much as they should have.
You and me both, all right? I still like the Vita, and I would like more games to support it, because I don't think anybody supports cross-buy anymore.
Yeah. Let's preface that by saying we both are Vita owners. We haven't traded in our Vitas. We still have some way of still getting some play out of them, one way or the other. But yeah, I will say though, I did like how the one guy, when I did tune in, the guy giving the speech kept holding up the PS Vita, saying, "Oh hey, remember this thing? Yeah, we're still doing cross play, or still porting stuff over to it. Hold on to that." And I'm like, you're adorable.
I'm not gonna lie, man. When you came out that thing, I was like, okay, you're either gonna announce a new PS Vita, or Slim or whatever, or
a Slim or like a cheapo. One.
Or you're actually gonna show off some pretty cool Vita games. But instead, it's like, yeah, you can get it on your PS4 and your Vita. At least he didn't sound depressed about the Vita. He was
he was hyping that up.
Yeah, he was like, hey guys, I know there's Vita owners out there. We got you. Here you go, new game for the Vita.
And I'm fine with that, because I would say developing for the Vita at this point is kind of untenable financially, and I can see why they're keeping it to like ports. And it's sad, but I kind of see what they're doing.
A lot of developers and publishers are doing that because the PS Vita didn't sell well. Let's just
get
that out of the way now.
It got dominated. It got dominated by the 3DS. And let's not mince words.
Like the 3DS had horrible sales at the beginning too, but the Vita just never picked up like the 3DS. So yeah, a lot of developers are doing stuff for the 3DS instead. Unless you go to Japan, then there's a bunch of PS Vita stuff you can get out there.
What are you gonna do? But yeah, rapid fire, PSX overall, good stuff showing off. But of course, they topped everything off. Oh wait. Also, there was one little small thing they did put out. This very cute like pixel art, ultimate frisbee looking game called Windjammers. That actually looks
for silly. That? That's my question. Who in the world asked for that?
I'd play it.
No, he's like, this is on our hashtag to-do list. Like, who asked for this game? Like, who in the world's like, yeah, you know what I wish to come back? Flying disc games. I want Windjammers to come back. It's like, what? Out of all the virtual games you could ask for, you want that? Okay, that's... Who asked? Who asked for that?
I got no problem with it. It looks like silly little arcadey fun.
I guess. But...
Okay. Oh, yeah. A few more things. Nier Automata footage is showing off. Platinum Games working on the Nier sequel. Hey, Platinum Games still getting work. Not much else to say about it other than action looks nice. And, weird. We usually don't go through topics this quickly before. What has possessed us?
Well, I mean, the thing is, they did the same thing at PlayStation X. All these stuff that we're just like blowing through, they did the same thing. Just like trailer. Okay, we're good. Like that was their lightning round. They just went through all these games anyway, so they didn't really show much. So sorry, people, we can't talk about them too much because they were quick 30-second trailers.
Oh yeah, these are very quick trailers that started showing off different things. But there were a few things that did kind of make me give a bit of a what? Like you said, Windjammers was a what? Knack 2.
I guess people asked for a Knack 2. I don't know.
Who?
I don't know. I guess it's
who the heck asked for a Knack 2?
Trust me, man. I asked the same thing. Like, oh, did it sell well enough for a second? I guess it did because we're getting it. But, that's cool.
I played Knack 2. I played Knack 1 at launch. In fact, I was actually chewed out because I think I scored like a 6.5 out of 10 at launch. I'm like, yeah, this looks nice, but it plays like a piece of crap platformer from like the 2000s. What is this? People are like, "Oh my gosh, no! It's a launch title. It's so cute. It's a cute little guy, and he's got these little bits in him, and it's cool because the PS4 can't render all that." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen better stuff before, man. This is not impressing me at all."
Well, that's the
But
thing. Knack was pretty much a playable tech demo.
it was a tech demo.
But
Very clearly a tech
the thing
demo.
is, it was made by the PlayStation 4 engineer.
Mark Kearney, yeah.
Yeah, one of the engineers. So it was like, it made sense that he would be able to make a game that ran well on the system that he helped create, or that he helped build.
Did it run well though? The frame rate kept dipping here and
Did
there
it?
for me. Yeah, the frame rate was kind of inconsistent. It actually was kind of technically kind of underwhelming, honestly, which I think is even more of an insult to everything. Because you said to yourself, Mark Kearney was a system architect for the PS4. He developed Knack for the PS4, and even then, it kind of sort of chugged here and there and was kind of barely even tolerable. But
See, it must be one of those games where they test it out on the system to see what the system can do, and then somebody thought, "Hey, this makes it into a full blown game."
yeah, and charge full price for it. Why not? But yeah, that kind of history, and they say we're going to make a sequel. What? What?
Well, maybe the guy who made it, maybe he really loves the series, and he convinced somebody to do it. He convinced some higher up to do it. Maybe he can make it on the cheap compared to big games. And
yeah. You keep telling yourself that.
Hey man, I don't know. Like, he has, obviously Sony has good faith in him. I mean, he built their blockbuster system, so I think that maybe somebody's like, sure, give him a second shot. And
mad respect for Mark Kearney for what he did with the PS4. The PS4 sold like hotcakes for so long because of that architecture, because of that ease of development.
Well,
mad respect to
that,
him.
and because Microsoft
Cheaper.
royally screwed themselves over when they first launched Xbox One.
That's a topic for another time, though. That's history. Things are a bit more neck and neck now. But yeah, Kearney getting a second shot with Knack 2. I'm willing to eat my words, but considering what the heck I played of Knack 1, I am just no for a sequel.
Right, but other than Knack 2,
Oh,
they
wait.
also showed off Ace Combat
Uncharted.
7. Oh, yeah. Oh, that new Uncharted. Woo.
Yes, the Uncharted spin-off that I guess involves Chloe, I think.
Yeah, it involves Chloe and a second character.
Isn't that basically like an expansion pack they're putting into Uncharted 4, kind of like a spin-off or something?
They haven't said. Actually, I don't know. It might be its own full-blown game, because
Uncharted
4,
Lost Odyssey, I think it's called.
Yeah, Uncharted 4 is supposed to be the last game, but
Involving
but
Nathan Drake.
Yeah, but they also mentioned that it'll be the first game in the series to ever get single-player story campaign missions. So this might be it. Who knows?
It was very vague as to what it was for, but you know what? The Last of Us did something similar with the Left Behind DLC, where they focused on Ellie, and that was actually a very nice addition to things. So if they do something kind of similar to it, I mean, I say kind of similar. I mean, Chloe is just a pretty girl that's kind of the seductress femme fatale archetype, whatever.
Whoa, okay. Obviously, you skipped over how awesome she is.
I liked her in Uncharted 2. I liked her in Uncharted 2. The way she played Drake and then played the bad guy and then finally settled with helping Drake, after Harry did the thing he did. And I did like her smarm in Uncharted 3. Like I like her attitude more or less, her characteristics, but I can't really call her a decent character. But you know what? I can think of worse characters to get their own solo experience of the Uncharted cast. Like she's a good pick.
Right. So we got that, and we have The Last of Us Part 2.
And here is where you and I are gonna fight each other to a bloody pulp over this, because I actually have some very mixed opinions over Naughty Dog going back to The Last of Us.
I mean, well, they've always hinted that well, not even hinted. They pretty much said that they want to, and if they had anything to go with it, they would. Obviously, they love this series.
And to that,
a lot of love and care into this series.
Yeah, like, let's preface it by saying our thoughts on the first installment of The Last of Us. See, I can't even. It's a game series. It's a game that it doesn't sound right with like a part 2 or arc 2 or whatever 2 clacked onto it. It like thoughts on The Last of Us. I liked it. It definitely had some problems. It definitely had some gameplay mechanics that were very odd, like the AI could have been a bit sharper, but I liked its narrative when it came to post-apocalyptic, I guess not zombies and everything, but name apocalypse with Joel and Ellie and them kind of doing a buddy-buddy road trip and them developing a friendship, possibly surrogates, father-daughter relationship as the game progressed. Like, Naughty Dog, this is why I don't full-blown outright hate Naughty Dog. Their characterization in The Last of Us was great. I actually really loved the characters of The Last of Us. Even the supporting roles. Even that guy you bump into in the town that plays the traps. That guy, I liked him. I actually felt bad for him whenever he left. It's like, I actually liked the cast of The Last of Us. But what I liked the most about The Last of Us was the way it ended. I wanted to leave open to interpretation. It was that kind of video game. It was that kind of narrative ending where there was no hero, there was no real villain, and you feel almost kind of bad for how things played out. But in a way, kind of left open to interpretation as to how things would go. How their relationship would go in the future. And for me, leaving it like that is a lot more impactful. But this is the game industry, and whenever there's a possibility of coming back for a sequel and brand recognition, you go for it. And that's where I feel there's a problem with The Last of Us Part 2. I'm just going to call it The Last of Us Part 2 now. But first things first, though, the trailer. The trailer did look great. It's very hard to tell with Naughty Dog's material if it's in-engine or pre-rendered. You know? Difficult to tell sometimes.
Well, I don't know. Naughty Dog does a good job of showing realistic expectations. If they showed that, I mean, that trailer showed. Now, Sony admitted that it's very early. So yeah. A lot of things can get toned down, but I doubt it's going to get toned down that much because Naughty Dog knows what it's doing with the PlayStation 4 and their own engine that they got working with it.
Oh yeah, they ported The Last of Us Part 1 to the PS4, and that thing had to run on the PS3 architecture. Yeah, that shows how much they know this architecture.
Yeah, and they're building their own. It's a brand new engine that they built themselves, so they know the ins and outs of it. So, like with that trailer, I didn't get that feeling of another stupid Ubisoft/EA pre-rendered nonsense trailer that won't look like the final game. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I know I'm going to get a game that looks very close to this. Like, yeah, the fidelity might not be as high with all the blood in that they had in there.
I did notice the texture quality on that stop sign with the firefly symbol. That did look a bit muddy.
Yeah, it looks like something that Naughty Dog can present in the final game. So I was completely okay with it because I trusted that even if they did tone some of that down, it's mostly going to be like with Ellie bleeding. Like stuff like that, of course, may not be there except for in the cutscene.
Yeah.
So, I believe that the game will definitely look something very, very similar to what they showed, even with the early footage that they've shown off.
But here's where my enthusiasm dropped. The opening shows Ellie in some disheveled home trying to play the guitar, and she has these bloody knuckles, like she's been through some hell. She starts strumming on the guitar. She looks older. Like, this is clearly some time later. And my first thought was, oh my goodness, we're getting a solo game. Just with Ellie. And from there, I thought it had some legs. And then, in walks the character from the first game, Joel, with Troy Baker, still voicing him, and they are clearly still a unit. And what do they go with? They seem to be hinting at a revenge story. Because what's the last thing she says in the statement? I won't stop until I kill every single last one of them. And I'm like, oh, dear me, no. Because, okay, you know what? Statute of limitations. Do you really want to spoil about what the heck happened at the end of The Last of Us Part 1?
I mean, if you haven't played that game after the PS3 and the PS4 release, you kind of got yourself to blame at this point. Like,
okay,
if you're interested in Part 2, chances are you've already played and finished part one.
Okay, you know what? So yeah, let's just kind of, spoiler alert for people who haven't played The Last of Us but still want to know what's going on. Let's just kind of hint at what happened. Let's just kind of say what happens at the very end. The inciting incident of the entire game of The Last of Us is that some sort of pollen-based, fungal plague breaks out and makes people into zombies and everything but name. They're called clickers. They're different. And Joel lost his family in the initial outbreak. He survived. He's living, and he then gets a job by these sort of runners in order to escort Ellie across the disaster zone to this organization that's still trying to find a cure because she's immune to the pollen, she's immune to the disease, this infection, and they think if they get her to them, they can synthesize an antidote and save humanity. And of course, Joel's like, it's another job, but as the game progresses, they slowly learn to love each other's presence in a father-daughter way. Very well done, by the way, as they deal with so many things: horrible clickers, cannibal people, cults, army people. Fill in the blank. Your go-to post-apocalyptic stuff. But the last level of the game is where you make it to your destination, but Joel discovers that in order for the cure to be made, they have to kill Ellie. They have to take a chunk of her brain in order to synthesize it. But instead of sacrificing Ellie's life to save humanity, Joel massacres the hospital and takes Ellie away. It ends with Joel lying to Ellie, saying it was false, it wasn't gonna happen, and the game kind of ends with Ellie possibly not believing him, but saying, fine. The Last of Us ends with Joel condemning humanity to oblivion because he didn't want to metaphorically and emotionally lose his daughter a second time. This is why I think the first part one of The Last of Us, I think, works better by itself. It's a surprisingly downer note where the worst impulses of humanity overcome selflessness in a very dark and depressing manner, but still kind of understandable. Like, Joel is surprisingly human with how he handles things, even though he does sacrifice his moral center multiple times for the sake of survival. But The Last of Us Part 2 is now marking, to me at least, a narrative in which Joel's worst tendencies is messing with Ellie. That she has become almost as bad of a monster as he is without knowing what the hell he did to preserve her life. Like, she doesn't get a say what happened. She's out cold when he gets her at the end of the first game. He doesn't hint at it at all. And I find it to be very messed up, because now, as far as I can tell, there's only two places they can go now with this narrative. One, Ellie finds out that she was lied to somehow, kills Joel or leaves him and goes off on her own, which I would actually want to play. I would actually like to see that role taken from Ellie, knowing that she had the opportunity to basically sacrifice herself, but was taken from her. Or two, she blissfully continues traveling with Joel and just becomes another buddy in a horrible world where everybody hates each other and goes off on their own. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to go through that latter arc again for another experience, and I feel as if they're going to go to that route. And that's what concerns me. That's what I don't want from it. Because we said this before, sometimes developers like to milk things a bit. Sometimes rightfully so. Sometimes you can get a lot of blood from that stone, but The Last of Us, I felt, worked better as its own self-contained story. But now we have a sequel, and the direction they're going with it, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing this direction. Michael, feel free to disagree.
Look, Naughty Dog knows what it's doing with this story. It doesn't make sequels just to make sequels.
Uh-huh.
It's true. They have the Pixar effect. All right. We know how Pixar had the sickleitis now, and it's going to happen. And we've seen it with. And when
it comes to graphical fidelity and gameplay innovation back in like the PS2 golden age, that's perfectly true. That's perfectly fine. The Jak series, Jak and Daxter, that got incrementally and noticeably massively better with each installment. But now the graphics have kind of plateaued what they're doing. Like, we've kind of gotten used to hyper-realism to a certain extent when it comes to games. I don't know. It feels like some of their limitations are showing.
And that's the thing. They've reached a graphical session. Now they're really focusing on... They've been focusing on characters and story. That's what makes Naughty Dog such a great developing developing developer. Jeez, can't believe I couldn't get that out. That's
And
some of the great developing
as
studios.
I said before, though, as much as I didn't like as much as I have some problems with Uncharted, I was totally on board with The Last of Us. Like, as just yourself,
Look, the thing
they
is,
did good.
look, the thing is, Naughty Dog does something if they have a story they want to tell. Obviously, they want to continue the story with Joel and Ellie. Like they've already mentioned before that they would love to go back into the world of Last of Us and continue the story. The voice actress for Ellie really
Is
wants to
back.
get back. Yeah, she really wants this. She loves this role. She wanted to come back and do it. She was excited for it, even when it was just rumors. Like she was hoping that a part two would happen. Everybody who's part of this series wants it to happen, so it's not going to be some cheeseball hand in your ticket and sell this game for whatever. It's going to be the kind of game where they want to work on it. They have the talent there. They're going to use that talent. They have great voice actors. They got great directions. They got great engineers. They got great artists. They have great programmers. So hopefully the gameplay will be better than the first one. Although I will admit I did enjoy the little spinoff that they had for Ellie.
Left Behind.
Left Behind. That was really fun. I enjoyed that. But you said that you didn't want it to go to the revenge route. Honestly, did you read the comics and whatnot for Ellie?
The collectible sci-fi comics.
No. Her comics. They had a comic series for
You said L.
Ellie.
We're talking about The Last of Us, not Stranger Things.
Ha ha ha. No, Ellie. Yeah, like Ellie has always had this rebellious.
She's always got this she's always got this mean streak to her.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of I liked her.
Yeah, and from what we can tell from the trailer, that place they were at has something to do with the Fireflies, who she had respect for, and she wanted to be a part of. Even her friend / love interest, they were kind of getting there, was part of the Fireflies, and her mother has a friend who's in the Fireflies, so she already has this connection with that group. And from what we can tell, there's a massacre there, and something happened to that group. And maybe Elle was part of that group. Maybe she had friends that was part of that group. So it makes sense that she would want to go after whoever did this against the Fireflies. And I think they're going to have a bigger focus on the Fireflies and their effect on the world.
But therein lies the issue I do have, because as I said before, the group that wanted to make a cure and sacrifice Ellie in the process was by the Fireflies. And once again, all we have to go off, at least based on how Ellie sees the Fireflies, is based on what Joel told her during that crucial moment, and whatever inciting incident occurs in The Last of Us 2 that leads to this, I guess, hatred towards the Fireflies. But even then, that still makes Joel's decision all the more gutting, because it's now no longer Joel's selfishness; it's his active willingness to not let Ellie know the truth. And as I said before,
we don't know if she doesn't know the truth.
And yeah, but that's what I say though. I don't want to deal with a 10, 15 hour experience where they stretch that out. Like, I'm calling it right now. If the first 3 or so hours of this game, let's face it, they probably are still figuring this stuff out as it is. If it ends with Ellie finding out and her killing Joel, like he's like a boss battle or a quick time event or whatever, and the game continues without him, I'll eat my words right now. I'll shut up. I'll say, fine, you have my attention. Forget everything I said at this podcast so many years ago. But I seriously doubt they're going to go that route.
I hope not. Joel is a very important character, and to kill off Joel and just to have Ellie on her own, you might as well just start the game off that way. Like, there's no real point in getting these two being together is what sells the story, the setting, the mood, and that's what you want.
And that relationship has been soured and tainted due to his actions. I would say,
and you as a player know it, so you feel the same way as Joel, that you really don't want Ellie to know the secret. Or if you do, maybe you're just like the kind of person who's like, oh, I really want to see this thing go south real quick. It's
the classic conceit of the noble lie versus the harsh truth.
But now you already had this tension from the very beginning, because you know the truth, and now you're wondering how this is going to work out between these two. How's it going to play out? Has it been 4 years, 5 years? Because Ellie does look older. We don't know how long it's been since Joel kept a secret from her.
And that's my issue. Like, this is something I actually come up with when it comes to any kind of media. When both characters, when you know something that both the characters do, but they don't, bring it to others, it it can easily be used as a crutch for artificial tension. It can easily be used as a crutch. And Naughty Dog know what they're doing when it comes to character interaction. Like, their interactions come off as surprisingly organic and human at the best of times. I'm worried that that's going to be the entire linchpin for their interactions. They stick together because, well, you're not a totally horrible person, but that's what I'm trying to get at. It has to happen, as far as I can tell. When she finds out that Joel, even her new father figure, quote unquote, is just as terrible and selfish and self-serving as the rest of people, I'm expecting things to come to a head. And no, I'm not expecting them to, like, do you forgive me? Oh, I guess I do. Make up. That's not going to happen. This is the world of The Last of Us. People die. It's going to happen. It's going to be brutal. I'm just saying, if you're going to do a sequel this way, that's the only route I can see with this. They either keep up the charade, nothing changes, and Ellie becomes more and more of an unfeeling creature. I can't even call her human, if that were to happen, occurs, or two, she bites the bullet, takes out Joel, and goes off on her own and possibly meets up with somebody else that may potentially treat her. I'm trying to say, if they do a sequel, I want the focus to be on Ellie, to kind of transition protagonist duties to her. Because she was basically doing that in The Last of Us 1. She went slowly from being an escort character to helping out with gunplay to, actually, there's a section where you played as her and you had that stealth boss battle. I say, go further with that. Make her the protagonist. Show, once again, have that kill your darlings moment and have things continue with her along and bring in a new character. And I'll say it again. You say to yourself, like, there's no way they're gonna kill off, Joel. Troy Baker's a well-recognized voice. He was there during the first game. I say that's a perfect reason to do it. Knock people's heads in, as to say, yeah, no, nobody has plot armor. This isn't later seasons of The Walking Dead. We're not doing that route. Just saying, this is...
That would ruin the dynamics. Well, if they do kill off Joel, it'd be like close to the end, because that would ruin the dynamics of The Last of Us. Because people like The Last of Us because of Joel and Ellie, not because one or the other, because both of them together.
And I'm saying that part of the story has been told. I'm saying if they did it again, there's not much else they could explore. Even if you take into account the time jump and Ellie's... Let's face it, she's clearly hitting that age of puberty, that obvious age of puberty. She's coming into adulthood. Even if you took that into account, and even took into account that it's pretty clear she's getting to the age roughly where Joel's original daughter died, you have maybe 2 or 3 hours of content of interaction there tops. I don't want that stretched out. You say to yourself, Naughty Dog knows a thing or two about pacing, which they do. They know a thing or two about pacing a character interaction. There has to come to a head, and the only way I can see that happening is if Ellie discovers the lie and cuts ties with Joel. Doesn't necessarily have to kill him. It's just, I'm on my own. Screw off. I'm going, and they focus on her for the rest of the game, and her potentially kind of taking in that new role, and perhaps understanding and sympathizing with why Joel was protective, and taking that level of protectiveness and possibly emboldening it in somebody else through her own protective nature. I'm just saying, if you were to do a part 2, that's how I would do it. But clearly you disagree. But I would say it would be the more resonant theme to go with. In between, all the requisite sneaking, fighting, stealth, action shootouts. Because
look, I'm excited for The Last of Us Part 2. Because unlike you, I liked the ending like you did. I liked the ending, but I wanted to see where their story went after that. Like, even if it was just DLC, I kind of want to see where it went after that. Like, we don't know
everything. And that's the beauty of it.
We don't know everything about Ellie. Like, I want to learn more about her. I want to spend more time with Elle. And
which is why I would spend more time with her. I mean, actually, why do you have to complain? You got that Left Behind expansion where you got to play a bit of this more as her before things went to hell.
Yeah, and you know what? She's such a great character. I want to spend more time with her as a character. I want to see more of her how she's grown. Like, I want to see how this world has changed her even more, because she was born in that world. Unlike Joel and unlike his daughter, Ellie was born in that messed up world, and to see her adapt even more to it, I'm looking forward to it to see how it's changed her mentally, not just physically but mentally and psychologically. That's what I want to see.
And I'm saying, you said to yourself, there was the lie that Joel's keeping from Ellie, but imagine if, once again, if they stuck with Ellie as the lead, imagine if she felt even more alienated from the real world because she doesn't have the same baseline of knowledge. Like she may not understand how certain things work, how certain things operate anymore because things have gone on for so long and she's too used to this new age. That's the kind of dissonance I think would actually make things a bit more sympathetic. Like, I don't know, off the top of my head, she winds up in not Starbucks. It's just like, who the heck deals with this stuff?
I'm sure we're gonna get more, but then it's been a few years since for the game. We don't know how big of a time skip we're dealing with here.
It's very up in the air. Like, they didn't really give it a timestamp at all. But yeah, like if they did things right, I may potentially give The Last of Us Part 2 a look. But I am not holding my breath.
You may potentially, like, it's either you may look at it or there's a potential, there's potential that you will. But the
more I see of it, because I'm sorry, initial reaction,
I maybe sort of kind of probably will look at it. Like, that's the way you sound. It's like, no, it's like, look, I'm
not gonna buy it day one. I'm not gonna buy it day one.
That's nothing wrong with that. Like, it was just a quick look it was just an announcement teaser.
It was a pretty substantive trailer, though. It was pretty long. Like all the other teaser mentioned was like maybe 30 seconds tops. This was like a minute and a half.
Well, because as usual, they went with the slow pacing.
Big closer.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Last of Us is a slow paced game. You're gonna get your story in slow little paces, and it looks like from what we can tell from this trailer, Part 2 is gonna be no different.
Yeah. You have a bit more faith in Naughty Dog's cachet, and I did like what they did with the first game, but I don't know. It feels as if something was lost with leaving things open with the ending of the first installment. And the very fact of me even saying first installment is painful to me, because I don't know. I just want at least one major AAA game to come out that was good by its own, and nobody asked more, please, because they were that satisfied and that content with what was presented already. But that's me with wishful thinking now, isn't it? And okay, anything else of note that came out of PSX we can harp on for a while? Anything?
I mean, no, we pretty much actually reached the end of this episode anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what the heck else we're going to talk about? The Guardians of the Galaxy 2 trailer? Oh dear me!
I mean, originally that's what we planned to do until we were like, oh wait, we have to talk about PlayStation X and the Game Awards show and
all the other stuff that came out of that. So
yeah, so that took up the time.
Okay.
We might actually do a separate podcast just for that. We'll do a second one. We'll do a trailer talk.
A trailer talk about what? Just trailers that have come out?
Yeah, I mean, like, we might as well. We always try to stick trailer talks, like with Ghost in the Shell and Assassin's Creed. Like, we always try to fit those in here.
The people have spoken. We are doing this. The people being you and me.
Right.
Majority wins. We got it.
Right.
We're doing it.
Like what we did with Doctor Strange. You know, we made that a separate thing. So, like, okay. I guess, yeah, every once in a while we can do something separate. Now, that doesn't mean all the time. So it's not going to be like a mainstay kind of thing. But
of course not. Let's not do that. Let's keep it intermediate. So yeah, okay. So you know what? I think that's about it for episode 8 of That Random Podcast Show. The podcast show that was actually mostly about games and game industry talk and game gamey stuff. Bro.
Yeah, somebody obviously played Telltale's games.
Oh, I love their work. So, I believe that wraps up for episode 8. Michael, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter with Zafmod. That's ZAFMOD. And if for some strange reason you can't find that, you can find me on my Twitter handle with @M_MOSLEY_JR. And I might start a blog because honestly, I've been feeling the need to type up a few things myself. So, Mr. Chauncey, where can we find you?
It's Chansey, like the Pokemon.
Mr. Chauncey?
I'm proud of it. I'm wearing it like a badge, like Tyrion Lannister told me. You can follow me on Twitter at Darth Rahu, capital D, capital R, Rahu, all one word, at Twitter. I do also blog. It's cybertavern.blogspot.com, and I also have a Tumblr, although I barely stick on it at all. It's just a place for me to look at funny Dungeons and Dragons stuff and Steven Universe fan art. But hey, if you can hit me up anywhere, you can follow me there at Digital Desperado26. I think that's about it.
Oh, Tumblr nerd.
I'm not a Tumblr nerd.
That's all right. I follow Tumblr because, I mean,
if I was a Tumblr nerd, I'd have dyed my hair and I don't know, put trigger warning comments all over the place.
All right, well, that's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.
Good night, folks.